Okay, I'm going to do an impromptu video here. I was just looking at all of the different stamp sketches that I did in a video from last night, and I feel like finishing some of them off, and I didn't want to wait to kind of schedule something out. These videos are always available on replay, so why not? Let's see. Hello and welcome to this impromptu live stream. Okay, so I have a lot of scenes, and I thought I'd play around with them. We got talking about some different stamp companies that have been here and gone. Some of them are still around, and I thought I would use some stamps from my private collection of stamps from other companies to kind of add a little bit of a whimsical element into my scenes. I always love this kind of conjuring kind of figure right here, and I thought that would look really good on this plateau overlooking this meadow in here. Hello, Froggy Fresh and Pam. Good to see you. I'm doing a little impromptu here. I couldn't stand it and had to, I really had to finish some of these scenes off here. So, hello, Beth. Hello, Cheryl. How are you today, all of you? Hello to anyone else that might be joining in. That was fast. Unless you were already on YouTube or something. But I was just mentioning, I wanted to finish off some of these cards. I was entering the codes into the description of the live stream from last night. And looking at them again, I thought, you know, let's get in and finish some of these off. And I don't know, I got talking about some of the different companies that have been around here and gone, and I thought we would incorporate some of those images into these scenes from last night. Hello, Beth, Cheryl, Darkness, Jolene, Bugs, Ellis, Crazy Cat, hello. All right, so just getting in here. Now, these are going to be some really fast finishing touches on these pieces here. Oh, you know, I was mentioning that in stamp sketches, the more kind of filler you add into your scenes, kind of the less coloring you have to do in some ways, or less shading, because the designs themselves have a lot of shading in them. So, beautiful day in upstate New York. I enjoyed my... what is it? Albany to Syracuse teaching trip the one time I was in upstate New York. The Adirondacks and I don't know, just I went to Cooperstown and I got to see one of my favorite paintings of all time up close that I had no idea was, you know, that was even up there in this Munson Proctor Art Institute, I think it was. A couple of the very large scale Hudson River School landscape painters pieces in that museum right there. But I don't know, that scene is almost done right here. Hello, Kay. Is that a flying monkey stamp? I guess so. It's by Graven Images out of Chattanooga, Tennessee. I don't know. I don't think they're still around, okay? Fistful of stamps right there. And 100 proof press, luckily still around. Code number 4778. S as in Sam. I don't know. I just kind of took a brief... quick look at some of the scenes and some of my private collection stuff, and I thought, that would kind of go in pretty well there, so, you know, we'll see here. But I wanted to just do some quick finishes of these right here, and I don't know if I'll get into the kind of little accessory types of things, like white pigment ink and things like that, but the coloring of these should go relatively fast. I don't know if I'll color every single one, But like I was saying in the live stream last night, if you were on there, there were a couple that I really felt like finishing off. You know, this lightning one for sure, and that elongated slimline format. All right, so anyways, there is that. Okay. One scene done. I don't want to add anything in there, you know, because it's just already too busy. If I put like something on the surface of that water, animal or whatever, it wouldn't really read really well. First of all, because I stamped it in, you know, a very dark colors. So if you stamp it in a much lighter one, then yeah, you have a little bit more opportunity, but it would be less, I don't know, kind of contrasty and dramatic, potentially, you know. So anyway, but yes, octopuses. I don't know. I didn't grab that Edward Gorey stamp. I didn't see an opportunity in my layouts from yesterday. Normally, if I'm going to stamp something like these, you know, these little types of characters out, they're so kind of, I don't know, particular, specific in terms of their kind of, I don't know, the spirit of them. I mean, this little guy like that, I would normally keep them in mind when I'm composing something. Like I would build a scene kind of around them, okay? Around the idea of them, at least. They wouldn't, you know, in other words, they wouldn't be an afterthought, so, yeah. Hello, Beverly! Everything's better with flying monkeys, yes. I think that's the subtitle for The Wizard of Oz, isn't it? All right. There we go. A pretty decent value range going from light to dark. I don't know. I don't have too many of the midtones in there, but the images themselves kind of take care of that. So that's what I'm going for. Be careful when doing your lightning strikes. If you want to do like a warm tinge of or something like that, then do it with a very pale version of it so that the lightning will still retain kind of the top light and value, so it looks like the light sources of your scene. Sometimes people go a little bit too dark with it, and then the reflected light is lighter than that, which is no problem. Just make your reflected light a little bit more toned down so that the lightning still, even when colored, is still, like I said, the lightest thing there. Yeah. Fraggy Fresh tried a monochromatic card today. Did you do it in black grayscale, or did you do it in the color? What I did, yeah, I always, you know, when I did taught my classes, I mentioned to people to do those monochromatics. We'd start off with black and we'd just do grayscale, but then I'd say, well, you know, why don't you do another scene, but do it in, you know, like say your navy blue or something like that. And those have their own kind of character to them. When you do a color, a dark brown or something like that, can look like I mean, it's not going to look like a sepia tone print, you know, without those kind of warmer tinges in there if you're just using just straight brown, but it'll give it kind of this antiqued look to it for sure by going with those kind of warmer tinged colors and values of it. So, yeah. Okay, let's see here. All right. Now, this one right here is a moonlit scene, okay? I mean, I guess you could make that a sun, you know, or something like that. But I thought on this one right here, let's go with some different color variations in here. Not, you know, just so I can, you know, not do everything just all in blue, which I do a lot of that. But I'll keep a lot of it with that blue range, but we'll introduce some different colors in here as well, okay? I don't do enough of this kind of little swirly types of applications of ink, but I should. It really gives it nice coverage and I don't know, just application look, I guess, you know, to the piece. Maybe we'll go a little bit lighter in this one. I don't know, pastels or something like that. I don't know. Froggy Fresh has a Kraken stamp from who? What company? And what does the Kraken look like? Is it like a gigantic squid or something like that? this one's going to be a piece for, I think, in this one right here. Look at this right here. I'm going to put this in here, but I'm going to do it in kind of a lighter gray, and then I'm going to put this little, where'd it go? This little sailboat up here. It'd be like a ominous kind of, you know, look to it. I'll put it I don't know, I'll put it fairly, maybe I'll put this like right over here, and this thing will be like this right here. Yeah, it gives a kind of a funky kind of a spirit to the scenes, you know, when you just, you know, when you put that type of character in the scene. Hello, Jeannie. Yeah. Okay, so let's go on with this. I'll just keep coloring as we're chatting here. Okay. Now I'm going blue down here, but I'm going to be adding some greens to it. So yeah, there's going to be colors in the moonlight, okay? Maybe the laws of nature's state that, you know, that wouldn't necessarily be so, but this is, you know, the laws of our, you know, artwork here, you know, where there is no official barriers like that, you know, in terms of the colors that can be achieved in that setting. Okay, so this one right here, I was mentioning yesterday, the oscillation of light and dark. Okay, I'm not going to make this mill too blue, but I'll add a little tinges on here like this. So it's going from kind of light, this will be darker, and then we have, you know, this shadow down here, light, a little bit of dark in here. You see I'm putting these streaks across there, so just oscillate your lighting within your pieces, and that will give your pieces, they call it checkerboarding, a little bit more variation. And, you know, with more variation, potentially the richer the surface will be as a result, which doesn't mean you have to do it in everything. There's exceptions, you know, with you know, where you have like very muted color ranges, like on a foggy day or something like that, you know, but just as a general foundation, you know, you can think about these things. So you see this kind of lighting going across here? So in other words, you just don't color everything in. It looks like light is reflecting off of these different areas. So it's reflecting off your mill. You know, I'll make the side of it lighter than the rooftop, okay? And then you have these areas down here that are light. I mean, you can see my hand has lighting on it, right? You know, my wrist down here is a little bit darker around here. Everything around us has kind of variation. Not this flat surface in my paper, but, you know, that's a flat surface there with, you know, uniform lighting on it. But anything that has like ridges and things like that, you depict it by the kind of the oscillation of that light reflecting off of it. So in other words, just don't color everything out. Leave some areas lighter, and then you will have your light. You know, it's just, it's no harder than that. And you don't have to kind of analyze things too much. You know, if you had this area up here that was lighter and this area was darker, then it's no big deal. You know, you still have that variation in there, okay? So coloring or lighting is just, you know, kind of selective coloring. It's not coloring everything. So in reality, you're doing less, you know, coloring, you know, than like a coloring book type of thing where you're filling in everything uniformly within given spaces. Okay, so anyways, you see that kind of little oscillation of light like that? All right. All right. Thanks for your joining in, Darkness. Good to see you. Have a nice rest of weekend. Hope everyone's having a good weekend or start to weekend. Well, I don't know. Saturday's almost over for some of you. All right. A little bit darker right there. Working on our shadows a bit. Okay. I mean, this is almost working kind of a monochromatic right here so far. You know, I'm just going to add in some warm tinges in here, and we'll do that one that watermill in brownish tones. Let's see here. Hello, Tammy Moore. Good to see you. All right. Let's go with, I've been using a lot of my Memento inks for my greenish tinges. I think I have a green. Yeah. Let's go with the peeled paint here. Okay. So I'll start off with some lighter tones like that. What do I do with long scenes? Oh, I don't know. I format them into cards. Let me see if I have something here. I don't know. This is like a long card right here. This is from that previous live stream right here, but, you know, it just makes it for a little bit of a longer card, right? You know? Horizontal, vertical. I know you can use it as a bookmark. You know, not really, but yeah, I don't know. You format them. Okay, so with my pieces, that being said, what I do is I cut an inch off the top so it's not 11 inches, it's 10 inches, so that I have space, you know, using my 8 by 10, 8.5 by 11 cardstock, so I can format it, you know, and mat it into a, you know, a decent looking card. So yeah, I don't know. I don't know. What do all of you do with your pieces? Your slimline formats. You know, do you do? I don't know. Do you send them out? You have to send, if you mail it. You got to send it in an 8.5 by 11, I guess. Oh, hello, Janelle. Good to see you too. Good to see you live. Yeah, it's slimline card right here. I should go even narrower though, you know, for like I said before, like bookmarks or something like that. I love those bookmarks every time I see people posting it. Sometimes people post that their bookmarks are just like scraps of paper, you know, from something that they're cutting off, and they use that thin version for their you know, their bookmark usage or creation or whatever. Okay, so anyways, what I'm doing is I'm finishing off, if you guys don't know, I'm finishing off some of the stamp sketches that I did in last night's live stream. When I do these live stamp sketches, when I'm doing them, I really feel like finishing a lot of them off. But if I'm doing a stamp sketch video, I'm working on composition so people can see kind of the compositional aspect of things. But you know, when I'm doing them, sometimes it's like, you know, I really feel like finishing them off because I can kind of envision potentially how they're going to look or what I want to do with them, media application wise and whatnot. Okay, but what I was mentioning earlier, if you just joined in, is I'm oscillating my lighting here. So see, I'm coloring in. I'm getting a little bit, you know, darker right here, so I'm losing some of my light. But if I make this area down here a little bit darker, then this will look lighter, again, by contrast. So just work your contrast. If you ever think you take an area too dark, then just add a darker element next to it, and that will seem lighter by contrast, okay? I don't think I've ever watched you live. Oh, let me see. Let me get this out of the way here. Well, I'm glad you're able to join in here. Hope I don't put you comatose and bore you here. But yes, you can see it live. It's kind of nice to you know, chat with some people. My gosh, we were talking about like stuff like you know, acrylic stamp positioners and the, you know, Stampa Barbara stamp positioning VHS, you know, video. In other words, it's fun talking stamping and all things stamping and stamping history with a bunch of people that, you know, where if you mention inks or something like that, they know what you're talking about. So, so I've really been enjoying doing the live streams. I haven't really been doing just the pre-recorded stuff for a while. It's like, okay, if I'm going to be stamping, why not do it with other people? So the lives have been really fun, and thanks to you all for joining in, having a chat, or for those that don't want to post here, that's fine too. Thanks for joining in and checking it out. It's kind of like a little bit of the feeling of stamping at like a convention, around other people, which we're doing a lot less of these days, of course, ever since the lockdowns and whatnot. But I was just starting to go out and do some conventions again over the past 2 years previous to the lockdown. So, and that was really fun to get out and have a chat with, people of the same, share the same hobby. Okay, so anyways, you see like that, I'm going a little bit darker up there, and that area in here seems a little bit lighter now by contrast. But before, that area in there was darker than, that other area. So it's easy stuff, and if you just kind of make incremental jumps from one value to the next, it's not a big leap in terms of your values like that, light to dark. So it almost gives you kind of the ability to, I wouldn't say do anything. I'm not going to go over it like this, the green or something like that. But if you just kind of build your color incrementally like this, it really makes it easy to do. Yeah, Tammy, one of the things that I'm not mentioning here, when I'm doing my color choices, this is what I teach people in my first class, is that when you're doing just different color builds and stuff like this, see, all I'm doing is I'm taking a color range like this, and I'm going from, now I didn't use this, I'm just showing this for an example, but you go to whatever inks that you have, and like I said, you can mix and match. And if, let's say I had these 5 greens here, okay, you just kind of line them up what you think is going from light to dark, okay? So it would probably be something like this, okay? So you start off with your lights like this, and then you just work darker as you go. Now, I know that blue and yellow mix to form green, so I put some of that blue that I was laying down in my sky and in my water in my grassy area, because I know that when I go over it with green, it's just going to look green. It's not going to look blue. So that gives me a head start. Plus, that blue in here will create, the common blues, maybe I use 2 different blues in here, will create a little bit more harmony between these blue areas and the green one, okay? It's not just separate greens in here and then separate blues up there. If there's any kind of overlapping colors that you can do, put them in those areas, so it'll create, more visual continuity, and it won't look like separate things just in all those areas. So I put a little bit of blue into the watermill there, so I don't know, that would be my recommendation. Plus, I mean, when you're coloring, if you're just able to use it in more areas, it just makes the whole process faster too. So, okay, so that being said, a lot of times when I mentioned in the previous videos, if you have like a color like this, like antique linen, you can throw that as a base coat over everything and then build up your different colors, because this, you can pretty much put under anything. Any kind of light beige, kind of warmish tinge is a good one. Memento? Yeah. I don't know. Everyone else kind of chime in here, and as far as Janelle finding Memento pads. Where's the best place to buy Memento pads? I know you can buy it at Michael's and Joann's for sure. 3 cats on your lap. Wow. Yeah, that cat beds aren't as comfortable. I don't know if they're heated. You need to have like those cat beds heated and soft, and kind of like have this artificial kind of breathing type of thing, where kind of move up and down, for those cats. That's what I always used to think. That's what someone should invent for like babies, that you can put them in, something that has this thing. It's warm and it's like rising a little bit, and breathing. Okay, so that's being said, let me use this antique linen on here. Okay, why don't we use this on our watermill right here? And I'm not going to take this, like I said, I'm not going to take all of these scenes maybe as far as I would, but I just want to give it some, you know, just some basic applications here, okay? Do you see that little tinge of, you know, color? That's as dark as that antique linen really gets, okay? So let's put a little bit around our moon for a little bit of warmth around that, okay? See that? It's just starting with a very light color. I'm not going with something like a, you know, super like canary yellow or something like that around the moon, which would really influence the overall temperature scheme, so it makes it really easy to do, okay? I'm using the brand new high-tech coloring applicator by Bounty, or is it Brawny? It's just a wadded up paper towel. So nice and absorbent, easy to find, and like I said, readily available around the world. Unlike some tools where you have to, you know, kind of find, you know, kind of a source for it. I used to feel bad. I used to love color box stylus tools, but if you're in another country, it was hard to find. Easy to find 20 years ago when Colorbox first released those tools, but really difficult to find, I'd say, over the last, I don't know how people stopped using those Colorbox stylus tools like instantly, or they bought them and they never used them, or they just never used them for their color applicating processes. But the internet, does everyone see that little antique linen in here? See, it's over all of these different things, so you're kind of oscillating light. I guess colors in some ways, although I did use those colors over everything like that. But you still have your lighting in here for the use of your darker tones, okay? So like I said, a lot of people lose their light at some point in time when they're first learning lighting. But don't worry about it. It's not like, oh my God, it's gone forever. Well, it's not going to get any lighter unless you're doing some kind of bleaching technique. But you just make your areas a little bit darker. And again, by contrast, it'll seem much lighter, okay? So, okay, so what I'm getting at here is a lot of times, what I hear is sometimes when people are doing things and kind of you get concentrated on specific areas, always hold your piece out to get a good idea of what you're applying, how you're applying things is affecting the overall, like if I'm coloring right here, I'm looking right here, and then I move the greens down here, and we become kind of tunnel visioned in areas like that. So always, you know, zoom out, you know, and hold your piece out at arm's distance along the process to get a good idea of how things are, you know, being affected by it. So it's like cooking, you know, you're supposed to taste along the way, right? Well, with visuals like this, you know, it's a good idea to look along the way. And we're looking like smaller areas like this, so always good to zoom out. Okay, so here's, see this darker green like that? And see how much lighter is it? Okay, now this is a dark area, right? Right here. But it's darker now. Okay, it's going a little bit too, oh, that's a super juicy green pad. Here, let me blend that out a little bit. But there we have, what color is this? This is pine green right here. Here is pine green, all right. And it's just a little bit, well, it's quite a bit darker actually than what I had down there, but we have a stronger kind of shadow area in there. Maybe I used a little bit too much. Let's blend that out a little bit, okay. And then you get, you know, some nice shadow work on that mill. And now that it's a lot darker than that mill, so I need to bring that mill up a little bit in terms of tone. Let's see, let's use some, sometimes, as I was mentioning yesterday, sometimes it's easier just to go in with your markers, or if you're doing this, if this was on a semi-gloss or a matte piece of paper, then you can use colored pencil in there, or use colored pencil and markers, whatever you want to do. Yeah. Heated bed, your cat won't sit on your lap anymore. Yeah, I don't know. Yeah, you can probably find, you know, those pads there. I don't know what type of selection each place will have. Yeah, why not? Froggy Fresh, use whatever you have, you know. All right, so here's some alcohol markers. This right here. I'm kind of going a little bit overboard because I plan on, before it kind of sets up too much, just kind of blending it out a little bit with a lighter tone like this. You got to kind of move reasonably fast with the alcohol because the alcohol does set in fairly quickly. You can kind of move it around a little bit. It does go back into solution, but it just depends on how non-porous your cardstock is. This is glossy cardstock, so it gives me a little bit of time like that. So let's see. Hello, Annie. Let's see here. All right, so okay. Now here's what I'm doing though. I'm avoiding using like a color like that dark. Okay, unless I get fairly dark in there, and this would be the next value to use. Okay, so like I said, when I'm doing this type of thing, I build it up through the lighter tones. Unless someone just starts off, you know, doing an exercise with, you know, like a monochromatic and working in grayscale. All right. But that's a different thing. You know, this is the use of color. All right, so here's some pens. Okay, so going in and adding some shadows in my rocks like this. Where do you add the shadows? Well, I added at the base of the rock. And the base of the rock is, let's see if I have that stamp here. I might have already put it away. No, here it is right here. So something like this, there's shadows in the rocks like this, these darker areas like that. And I'm just going in and reiterating those shadows with color, okay? So these rocks seem a little bit more three-dimensional like this, okay? And this is also giving these rocks a little bit of a common color with that object up there, so it's not just the only thing that's that hue, okay? Now, I mean, this is just one way to do it. As I say that, you know, I've seen other things where people they only use browns or something like that for the mill, and they only use greens down here. And then let's say they're doing a sunset color scheme up top, and maybe it's blues down in the water, or, you know, sunset color schemes from that. I think, oh, okay, that looks really cool. It looks like a super crisp, you know, type of color scheme, and it looks really good. This, though, I feel is easier because you're just kind of blending everything together. All right. But it's just one type of look. Okay, so anyways, this is like a little bit of a warm, what is this? Camel. It's a little bit of a warmer tinge like this, yeah. And just like I said, you can kind of blend them out. These alcohol pens get much easier to blend the more you build up on the surface because that alcohol ink becomes kind of, you know, it becomes a thick application of alcohol inks, and then you can kind of push it around a little bit. But see this right up top here where this rooftop is lighter up top like that, so it looks like it's being top lit by the moonlight, okay? A little bit in the grassy areas. I like a lot of brown in my grassy areas just for kind of give it a little bit more of an earthy look to it, you know, feel. But I think that is that for that one. All right. Now I have other compositions that are similar. I'm not going to go over those ones. I mean, unless I do them in a different color scheme. Let's see. So anyways, 2 scenes done pretty quickly. No paint pens or pigment ink on there, which would look really good too. I'll do that in this different video. Okay, let's see. Hello, Phyllis. All right, this one right here. All right, folks, I'm going to do some things on these scenes that just kind of twist the kind of the theme of them a little bit. I pulled out some stamps from my private collection. This one's an octopus by a fistful of stamps. Look at, you can see the different construction that they did on these. They probably got these little wooden blocks and they finished all of them off, you know, with sandpaper and everything like that. That piece of red cushion on there is a 1/8 inch of cushion, so they cut that out to the size of that. I'm guessing what they did is they cut out this octopus and then they mounted it on all of this with rubber cement, okay, and then they cut out the piece around there. A lot went into, you know, certain types of rubber stamps back when, okay? And this one really reminds me of Imaginaire designs. If you guys know Imaginaire, that they went through a lot of work with their construction of their pieces. Okay, I'm gonna try to go for a fairly light impression of this, but let's do a light, varied impression of this octopus. Okay, so it's not just gray. Okay, I want to put it like where there's light hitting it in some areas. In some areas, it becomes a little bit more obscure. So I'm going to try something here. And this is a monochromatic piece, so maybe it'll look like it's like an old black and white photograph of you know, something, you know, that someone caught on film, maybe. Okay, so let's blot this out, and let's see what the second impression will be. Yeah, okay, I think that'll be pretty good. I need to get a feel of how fast that ink's going to be coming off. With these other companies, I don't know what kind of rubber they're using. I don't know if it was 100% red or what, but sometimes you have to kind of play around with things a little bit. Thanks, Linda. Okay, so I'm stamping it out like so, and then let's wipe off some of these little areas on here, like about like so. Okay, so it becomes a little bit more obscure, maybe. And then sometimes, now I can see what color that looks like on matte paper. It's going to be darker on glossy because you have much more surface contact. So let's go like this. Let's go a little bit more ominous like this because I want to have that little sailboat up there. Okay, so I don't need this image to be like terribly visible, because it's more like the creature from the deep, you know. Sometimes what you can't see is like a little bit more kind of scary than what you can see. So let's go like that. Like that. Okay. I'll obscure it a little bit more too with some white pigmenting, but that's about right. And then let's go with, let's create the tension in this scene. Let's see. Just taking off my little tiny rocks. I want to leave that on there just so I don't lose that stamp. And here's a tiny little sailboat, okay? I have a larger sailboat too, that would fit in there, but it's a little bit too big, I think, for the scale of it. We want that to really look kind of ominous, right? If we have a sailboat like, you know, that big, you know, they're not too worried about this. You know? All right, so let's go like this, and let's go about, let's put this over. I'll put it a little bit off center, I think, and I'll put it, should I put it, oh, I'm trying to think if I want it a little bit closer to, yeah, we'll create a little bit more tension by putting it a little bit closer to the arms of the beast, like that. All right, so there's your Stampscape scene, but more whimsical. It certainly has a different spirit to it, having that kind of this tension built up right here. Usually the visual dialogue that I'm creating in a piece is about lighting. It's about light source and reflected light, right? But when you do these things like this, I mean, it's still good to have your, you know, things working on multiple levels, but when you create kind of a character tension like that, you know, a person looking out at a deer or something like that, it doesn't have to be an ominous type of thing, but it's kind of fun to do. Yeah, right, the Loch Ness Monster would be good. Someone has a Loch Ness Monster set, and I think the humps or something like that were, it might have been like a 2 or 3 piece set where you can put those little, you know, humps coming out of like different areas with the head. I think, I'm not sure. Yeah, Beatrice, I'm looking forward to getting to that one. But let me do something with this one really fast. Like I said, I wasn't going to do too much of this, but this one right here, I think demands a little bit of this kind of atmosphere in here, and I want to see what it looks like myself here. So well, Tammy, here it is right here. And it's always available for replay. And your grandson's more important anyway. How old are they? Sea creature in a lake. Well, this could be the ocean right here. Looks like Seattle and the Seattle Sound. Or what is that? What is the sound? I can't remember. But I see a lot of islands like this out in the ocean. Okay, let's see. Good night, Glenda. Sweet dreams. Thanks for joining in. Alright, adding in that kind of little foggy thing. Maybe that's why they don't see the creature there, because of all of the fog, the dense fog in the area, and also they didn't heed the warnings of the locals. Alright. Alright, so a little bit of fog in there, like so. I didn't obscure all of the arms because I want it to look like, I don't know, just, maybe it's coming out of the water. I don't know, closer to the surface or something like that, so. Let's, maybe let's put it all underneath there. Let's go like that. Yeah, something like that. Alright, so, and then you can put on the inside of your card or something like that. You can buy that stamp that says "Caution, no swimming" or something like that from Viva Las Vegas Stamps. I'm joking, but they probably do have like this "no swimming" warning sign stamp, or you know, something like that there. Grandson is 7. Oh, that's a fun time. Fun times, my gosh. Where did those years go with my son? All right. Still having fun, but not that 7-year-old fun, you know, where you're like helping them build forts and stuff like that. Crater Lake. Could be. I don't know if there's any type of kind of a thing like that. But anyway, here's 3 pieces that were... Well, this one was kind of finished off beforehand, but here's 3 pieces, you know, finished off fairly quickly, okay? Let's get to that slimline reddish tone one. I'm going to have this character conjuring this storm right here, or, I don't know, worshipping it or something like that. So let's go. All right, now this one right here, I'm trying to think of a good kind of base coat color scheme. I think the antique linen would be a good one for that. I want this to really be kind of lush and dense with tone, okay? Right now, this really stands out like that, so I need to bring everything up kind of to meet the intensity of it, okay? I colored it so dark, so... But you start off with that, you know, with just a nice, light tone to start off with, and then you can make all kinds of other decisions as you go along. Oh, your grandson likes to draw, huh? He loves to draw. That's good. Oregon, Washington, Alaska. There's a lot of places where pine forests meet the ocean. Okay. Oh, wait. Okay, this is glossy. I was thinking, oh wait, this is a matte cardstock, but it's not. It's just that the clad stamped out so light like that. All right. So it's going like this, okay. Now on this one, I'm trying to decide how much light I want reflecting off of these objects. I guess I want a pretty decent amount. Meaning, if you want a lot of light reflecting off of it, then you have to put, you have to retain some of the white of the paper for that. But I have a lot of colors to bring in here, so if I don't bring in a lot of the base layer, then I'm not going to have room for the other colors to come, because I usually go from lighter tones like this and darker tones on the outside. So I bring in my darker tones in not quite as far usually as the previous colors. So that being said, you want to bring your lightest colors in fairly close to your light sources, moons, whatever, suns, and so on and so forth, okay? Otherwise, you get this area of light like that, and then it's just like dark right here, and it just goes like a huge contrast with the light. So if you want to have a nice range, then bring in those lighter tones into it like that. Okay, so let's see. Okay, so remember what I was saying about kind of the checkerboarding here. We have light, and we'll go dark here, okay? And the darkness is just to separate your reflected light. Now I'll have this little area in the meadow as reflected light, okay? So we have an area of light up in the sky, an area of light down here in the meadow, and then this is kind of a separate little area, right? So I'll make this a little bit light in here, so you have a little bit of light and dark in each range like that, okay? All right, Janelle, thanks for joining in. Good to see you. I'll create a little bit of a separation here between this area and this area down here, just so you know that it's not, you know, in the same kind of on the same plane as each other, okay? And I'll take into consideration little, trees in here, so I put a little bit of shading underneath those, like this, okay? And I want to kind of keep a little spotlit area for my conjurer right here. You can use the conjurer and this flying monkey up here, maybe. I'm trying to remember where I got that Graven Images stamp. If it was at... Gosh. Stampa Barbara had 3 different stores. 3 or 4? 3, I think. Crystal Court, Santa Barbara, and Melrose Avenue. I don't think I got it at... I don't know. Maybe I saw it at Melrose. I don't remember going in that store, though. But I remember it didn't... I don't think I remember seeing that one at Crystal Court or the Santa Barbara store. It's kind of amazing that to think of all these just rubber stamp specialty stores, not scrapbooking chains or anything like that, but having multiple locations, just as an indication of where, kind of rubber stamp retailing was at one point in time. But see, here's my oscillation of light throughout here. So you have lighting in here just by leaving some of those areas as is, okay? Your hands, how do you get all that off, the ink off? You just use a little pumice stone and it comes right off. Who wears gloves here? Does anyone wear gloves? Some people started wearing gloves at some point in time. Or, even if you wear it with your offhand. It'd probably be a good idea, but I don't know. I think my hand would... I don't think I'd want my hand all... like super hot, in like a glove. I wouldn't wear like a cloth glove either. I'd probably wear, I don't know, one of those, whatever, rubber gloves or whatever. Okay, so there is our I got a lot more mileage out of that antique linen than I thought I would. I didn't think it would get as dark, but it mixed with some of the black that was on the paper again. So, yeah. All right, let's see. Candy, use bleach to get the ink off your fingers? Yeah, that's my sentiments. Okay. Yeah, just use a little pumice sponge. You know, one of those, not stones, but little pumice sponges, and it just comes right off. Okay, this is walnut stain. Okay, boy, that walnut stain's a lot darker too. I haven't been using the walnut stain lately. Maybe I don't know. Did I get a re-inker for that? Maybe I got a re-inker for it, but mine was looking a little bit dry for a while. Maybe I got a re-inker that I forgot about. But thinking back to that graven images, I'm thinking it's strange that I remember when I bought that. I wonder if I remember where I got all my stamps from. My private collection stuff I'm talking about. Do all of you know what stamps you have? Like if you were to see a picture of it, you'd know what if you had it or not. Huh. I haven't heard people using bleach to get their ink off, but That's just straight bleach, not diluted or something like that. Yeah, you can do wash the dishes. I don't know. Sometimes it's so inky. Like the times when I didn't. Maybe I did start. I might have started traveling with a pumice sponge because when I'd go to conventions, I didn't have a pumice sponge on me, so and then this oftentimes wouldn't come off with the soaps in the bathroom or something like that. Most people don't have that, those little dispensers with that kind of borax type of soap anymore. So it was like I gotta go out to eat like this after the show, which that doesn't look too good, But I think now I think of it, I think I might have started traveling with one, because all the stores carried, or they didn't carry them, but they always had like a little pumice sponge in their sink area, and it just does the trick. All right, so getting there like that, we start to see that this is starting to look a little lighter, not so much yet, but I have to go quite a bit darker. And let's start moving it in that that kind of color scheme. So a lighter version of like a red and burgundy would be pink, right? So I'm going to use some of that right there. Okay, yeah. You wouldn't have duplicates, huh? At some point in time, that's what I was wondering. I was wondering, you at one point in time, maybe it was early on in everyone's stamping thing, you probably knew what you had, but then it was like, okay, after whatever the umpteenth hundred or something like that, you know. My problem was sometimes with certain stamps, I couldn't remember. I remember thinking about getting something. The difference between thinking about doing something and doing it because suddenly became kind of like really close together and one, so I couldn't remember. Hello, Diana. And that was my problem. I ran out of a internal hard drive space in my head where it's like, did I, so it's like I'm writing back to people. Did I write back to you, or did I just think about doing that? There were too many things I had to remember after I started Stampscapes, with like so many different item numbers and everything like that. And when I had to order things and keeping track of things and, I don't know, just all those little ton of details like that. Coming along, Beatrice. Okay, so here's some pink like this. So I'm starting to move into that lighting scheme like that. So I want, if that's the color right there, it's going to be casting that color out like that. Oh my gosh, Beth, you started to break out in hives from the bleach, huh? Yeah, yeah, the pumice sponge. It's not like it's so hard like a stone. It's like a, I think it's a synthetic sponge. I have a video on it. It's like, I think it's called like Stampscapes, How Do I Clean My Stamps? And I you know, show it. And it just, all this right here, this comes off like super easy. Okay, so here comes the little tinge of this. You can see this color right here. Okay, so you can see that little change of color right there. So that's kind of the direction that, you know, this color scheme's going in. Let's retain some of the light, you know, that's reflecting in here, but I'll come in with this pink into this area like this, okay? So that we get a little bit more of that color. It's supposed to represent colored light. It's not colored light. It's just, you know, a tone, and we're seeing reflected light off of that, but and we'll make it a little bit darker in some areas, and then we'll try to get to some of that color right there in these areas, okay? Len, you should take Stampscapes 1, or watch the video on the Cloud Cumulus stamp. Just say Stampscapes Cloud Cumulus, and that video for it'll come up, or you can bring up that. And I talk about how to do it and what not to do too. So, and when people color things like this, don't think about this cloud in terms of like a linear design. It's a tonal design. So if you retain areas of light like that, it will look, you know, more billowy and soft like that. Okay. But yeah, on that video, I show what to do and what not to do, especially. And it's the things that it's the things that people tend to do if they haven't seen that video before, you know, or haven't, you know, seen any of these demonstrations before. Pumice sponges, yeah, give it a try. You kind of, you know, work a little groove into it, you know, and have a little groove, unless it's already kind of pre-contoured. I don't know, I've been using the same one for years, and I don't know if it's gone down. And it's not practice, Lynn, it's process over that. Because I get everyone using that cloud exactly, you know, how I do it immediately. You just can't do certain things, but it's not, you just got to make sure that you're not practicing, you know, a technique that gets you away from it. And it's usually, I don't know, you just got to wipe off the sides like that too. Before you give the impression. And I show where to put the pressure and everything like that. All these different things like that. People get the exact same things, especially if they're doing it like in a make and take or something like that, because I'll stop them from doing certain types of habits that they might tend to do a lot of, or I've seen done, you know, a gazillion times. It's like, okay, just change this one thing. And it's like, oh, okay, that was it. A lot of times, a lot of times people who get, you know, certain types of techniques that I'm doing on this, sometimes it's easier for people that have never stamped at all, because they have kind of these worked in types of techniques that they're do inherently with their other types of like linear outline designs, which are really great techniques for those. But when they get into like a tonal design, they can do a lot of those techniques with tonal designs like Stampscape stamps, but there are certain other things that get in the way of kind of a more seamless application, and that's one of the big things about tonal stamps. It's that seamless application of them as opposed to kind of layering and being really careful about outlines crisscrossing each other with outline styles of designs. But yeah, just watch the video. Yeah. I'll show you exactly what everyone tends to do with that stamp, or, you know, sky images too. So we've taken care of all that in video form in the, I don't know how many videos I have at this point in time. I know there was over 1,000 uploads. But also check out the, a lot of people don't know about this, but you just go on the website and just bring up you know, that image, Cloud Cumulus, and all the videos are embedded into that stamp module along with a bunch of samples too, so you can refer to a lot of those things like that. Okay, so I'm kind of coming around like this. Let's warm this up a little bit. Let's add a little bit of zip into it in some areas, a little bit of intensity. Do I want to go into, I'm trying to think of something like an ochre. Maybe that would look ugly in here though. But I want to brighten some things up. Like this area up here needs a little help. I'm going to be, when you bring in black too, like I stamped out this cloud in brown, so we need to do the browns in here. Let's see. Let's go with the brown. And let's go with this dark brown right here. Okay, so I really love this brown. If you don't have a Marvy number 6 brown, it's a really good one to get in terms of your kind of warmer tone scenes, sunsets and things like that. It brings a little bit of a earthy kind of a brightness into grassy scenes too. Like where is this one right here? Let me see, I didn't use it on here, but see this green sometimes gets a little bit, I don't know, it looks a little bit too kind of like a neon green. So a lot of times I bring this into it and see that little tinge. It's bright, this brown. You wouldn't think it is, but it is. And you can kind of make your, you know, brown on brown looks good too, but brown on green, it tends to, I don't know, I like it. I like it in my grasses right here. So see that right there? It's, I mean, it doesn't read as green, brown. It's just kind of a more earthy version of green. Okay. So I use it in my grasses all the time, and sunsets, where my tones look a little bit too kind of magenta-y or something like that. It just kind of warms things up a little bit, and it gives it richness, but it mellows out maybe the hotness of certain things. Look at how warm that's getting right there. Look at the intensity of it too. And sometimes it's a little bit too intense, so you just put another color over the top of it. But you have it kind of, the scene looks like it's a little bit more, it's glowing from the colors underneath, the ones that go on over the top of it. So, all right, so still assessing here. Let's go back to green. Let's throw in some green in this area down here. And again, it wouldn't be reflective of that type of light, you know, in here. But I'm just doing it because, you know, like I said, there's no rules here. So if I would just want to go for a little bit of a tonal change like that. See that little bit of green down there? So we're just extending kind of the color scheme of the piece. It's kind of twisting it a little bit, okay? Doing something like that, all right. All right, let's get a little bit more dramatic here and move into that darker brown. Let's see. Okay. The nearest volcano is Hawaii. Active volcano, huh, Linda? Let me see. When I wanted sky video, I wanted how you use all your cloud stamps. Oh, yeah, there's different cloud stamps, right, Candy? I was thinking about this one right here, the cloud cumulus. Yeah, there's like a, you know, cloud strips. There's cloud alto cumulus, but those are all in videos too. So if you go to the like sky groupings, you can see different versions of clouds. Alto cumulus, which is kind of more of a mackerel sky. Cloud with moon, cloud with sun. A lot of times the clouds are also layered together, so I'd use maybe some alto cumulus with cloud alto cumulus, you know, in the distance, so you get these different types of textures kind of, I don't know, they're not really contrasting against each other, but they're just kind of layering with each other. And then one of my favorite skies too is just when you do, let's see, I didn't do it here, but if you just do streaks in your sky like this, and you come this way, and then your areas in between become kind of those more kind of streaky types of clouds that have been formed by your use of tone. So it's kind of what's going on in all of these. I have a video too. There's a video on everything, and I don't know. There's so many videos. I know they're all kind of buried in there, but on one of the videos, I just talk about this streaking type of thing, and that's what's going in on. You know, that's kind of at the base of a lot of my different ink applications. I'm either doing this or I'm doing this. Okay, like this streak like that. It's like teaching someone how to just do a brush stroke or something like that, and how to do that to get those applications. And it'd be something that you'd be doing with markers too, or colored pencils or something like that. And that's just my simple, really, application. But I'm just, a lot of times when I'm doing this, I'm just doing it and really building it up on a scene in a lot of given areas. So see, there's this kind of this streak. See, this thing right here is going on here. It's going across here like that. Here, I already said that. Here it is right here. See the streak like this? It's going like this. And this one's going like this. But it's also coming in from this side, like that, okay? So when I'm doing it over here, I'm streaking in like this. When I'm going it like this, I flip the card around and I'm doing it like this. So I'm just doing this like the whole time. But I'm just doing it through multiple different colors like that. Stranger Things, yes. Did you watch did you binge season 4? I hated that mid-season break where it was like a couple weeks off or something like that. 3, I don't know, whatever many weeks off that one was. Stranger Things, for those who don't know, it's a really popular series on Netflix. I think it was their most popular, right? Most watched series when it came out, or I think there was this news thing that when they released season 4, it broke Netflix or something like that. Their servers couldn't keep up with everyone watching it or something like that. All right, so we're going to come in with dark now, okay? Let's see. All right. Oh, Mount St. Helens, right. I never got over there. We always visited with my in-laws in the Portland area, and I always wanted to get over to Mount St. Helens, but I never got around to it. I could have made a day trip of it, but I don't know. I didn't. Okay, so adding that in, but look how much lighter these areas look. See, I'm using black now. Okay, but see this whole area down here, this whole piece is kind of uncontained right now. So if I add this black to it, especially for a scene like this, you know, and if you're working with, you know, another scene that's like pastels and everything like that, but this one I really wanted to make nice and dramatic, you know, for this setting right here. So to go for that drama, it's probably good to really frame things off really nicely in a nice dark vignette like that. Okay, let's see. Did I miss some? Oh, yeah, Candy. Yeah. I hear what you mean. If you don't have, unlimited bandwidth, or you're not on, like, broadband at home or something like that. Right. If you don't have, like, Wi-Fi or something. One good thing I was talking about on a show and tell video today that I posted from it was that magazine that someone, Stamping Buddies, I was just mentioning that those different publications are where you used to have to get all your ideas from. Even in like that 97, the internet was up. Stampscapes had their had a website in 96, but remember dial-up, and in seeing just a still shot of something, it would have taken forever. You would have had to leave the room just to see kind of a low-res sample of something like this, and it would have been going, really slow. It wouldn't have been moving that fast. You might have had to go have dinner or something like that, and then come back, and then, you'd be able to see, a scene or a photograph or anything like that from back in those days. And definitely no video unless, the video was like 1 inch, 1 inch by 1 inch or something like that, and super low res. All right, so anyways, going in here, almost ready for the Conjurer, or whatever you want to call it. Okay. Maybe you guys can think of some other type of application over that, some kind of iridescent or glittery types of touches that would be kind of interesting in here. I'm going to stamp that character in here, but this character has this little bit of this platform, and I'm going to have this character stamping in the grass, so I'm going to wipe off a lot of this bottom portion, or just not color it in to begin with, because I want him standing in that grass like that, okay? 100 proof press, S4778 is the code, if anyone is interested. It makes for an interesting thing. I like using this character like this with my volcanoes. Speaking of volcanoes, my volcano stamp. I think I've done that maybe once or, maybe, I don't know, maybe 2 or 3 times over the years. All right. So let's go like this. Okay, I want to make sure. I always have to look at these other companies to make sure that they've kind of aligned their registration really good. Okay, let's go like... This is how I line this too. I'm making sure that his head's not going up into this darker area. Like if I go like that, you're not going to be able to see that side. I need to be able to see his arms outstretched, preferably. But definitely the head. The head's the most important thing. For a character, you don't want to behead them in shadow, okay? All right. So see, they're right in that lighting like that. I should add a little bit of color into them too with some alcohol markers, something like that. Nice and dramatic now. And let's frame them off a little bit more, okay? I want to put them kind of in a little bit more of like a spotlit kind of situation here. I have... Yeah, the octopus is right here. The deep. So I created a little bit of a visual tension here between that, little whatever after dinner sunset twilight trip in 1920 here, and this was the last known sighting of that little boat there. I'll leave that out right here so you can see. If you add, you can add some of this antique linen. Where'd it go? Tone. Not so much over that pigment ink, but if you add that antique linen right over the top of this grayscale piece, it'll look a little bit more kind of antiqued and sepia looking, you know, sepia print-ish. It doesn't really look like a sepia print, but it kind of gives that spirit of it like that. Did anyone watch, what was that? My teacher, my octopus teacher? I don't know, there's some Netflix movie called that, or series, I think. I haven't gotten around to watching it. I should. I always like those underwater shows like that. I grew up watching Jacques Cousteau's, what is that? Under Jacques Cousteau's, I forgot what the title of that show was called. The Undersea World or something like that, or Jacques Cousteau, was that it? All right, so anyway, The Conjurer. Let's see, let's put a little bit more. Let me see. I don't know if I still have all my stamps out from yesterday. Gosh, I used so many stamps from yesterday. I probably put a lot of them away. I'm just looking for some something down here. Yeah, let's just use some of this right here. I wanted something a little bit bolder, but let's just go with this one right here. Everyone needs a Kraken. The Kraken will always can always improve a scene, right? Do you have that one? Oh, I'm sorry, I didn't see that, Joy. No, that where can Joy get an octopus? We keep going back to this, but if you look on Viva Las Vegas stamps, they probably have some kind of similar octopus. This one was from A Fistful of Rubber Stamps, which I doubt if you can even find one on eBay or something like that. Of that, they were a cool company. Pretty obscure though, but that's where I got that. But I'm almost certain that's not an original drawing. It's probably you know, clip art. So someone else might have that exact, you know, image. I'm not sure. Okay, so I just added a few more of these things down here. It's kind of more in the spirit of that lightning up there as well. Let's create a little bit of a connection between this character. I should give him like a red cape, you know. So let's do something like, oh my gosh, I don't have any like really light red. I don't want to give him a pink cape, but I don't want like that version of red either, so let's see what we can do here. All right. Just so that it doesn't look so anemic, if you ever use kind of outline designs with tonal ones, I suggest you color them in somehow. This one would be easier to do if I were able to use colored pencils on here, because I can really vary the values right here. But I don't have like something like a pale version of red is pink, right? But this is almost too red. Let me see if I can get a little bit in here. Let's go like that. And then let's see if I can kind of blend that around a little bit. Yeah, okay, that's pretty good. So just hit it with, you know, kind of a more intense version of it, and then just blend it in as fast as you can. Let's see. All right. Bad looking. Better. That okay. So I'm just trying to create a connection between the character and that lightning up there. Let's see. I'm hit it kind of early on, so let me see if I can use a little bit of this too. Okay, well, the colored pencil's working on there a little bit. So I'm just kind of working on that shading in there that I just kind of lost a little bit because I wiped off some of that color. But see that like that? So when you look at like that character isn't so anemic. They have a little bit more presence. And they're kind of a part of the scene. If everything is tonal and shaded and modeled in terms of your light and dark, do the same things with your characters, or if you stamp like a cabin or something like that in there, model it with a little bit of tone so that it becomes more value-based instead of outline-based, linear-based, okay? And when you do something like that, let's see, let's hit this with a little bit of lighting in here. I wasn't going to do so much of these special, little accessory touches, but on something like this, I think it'd look really good. Let's just do it right now. I'll probably add a few more things to this. Do you create along with you, like we were doing all the same? Yeah, Beatrice, it's the workshops. So if you go to the workshops, on the Stampscapes website, there's the listing of workshops listed on there. I need to list, I'm probably going to have some in about 2 weeks. I'm probably going to do Stampscapes 1 and Stampscapes 2 on one day, like on a Saturday, and maybe 3 and 4 or 5 on a Sunday, I think. Okay, so adding in some lighting in here, like so. For those specialty cards too, sometime I should do like a Halloween scapes workshop. Where it's like we're using like a horseback rider, and the instruction is, okay, now ink up your horseback rider. Okay, now wipe off all the ink off the head, and then stamp it out for your headless horseman. All right, so adding this in. So see this right here? What you're doing is, I'm not doing this over all the bolts, but doesn't that look better in terms of a textural statement like that? Having that bolt, look how that bolt kind of stands out. It's like, I mean, you can do that over all the bolts too, but I think it looks better if you just kind of, if you don't do it over all of them, and just, you have that kind of like lighting contrast in there, like where it's like some are crisp and some are soft like that. And you can do that all in one little spot like that. And then, let's see, let's grab some of this pigment ink right here. Let's see. This is a used cotton ball here, so let me see if I can get this in here without getting some of that blue. I don't know, maybe some of the blue would be okay, but so you can have some of that lighting like that. But let's see how good these clouds can look like this. So, someone was mentioning the cloud stamp. They want to get those clouds like I do, but see, this is one of the things that I do in here too, just to add a little bit of that added texture in there. But here's the thing, you want to use it fairly sparingly. The darker the clouds are, otherwise it stands out too much. Like if I use this over here, it looks kind of weird, right? So you use it where there is still a little bit of an element of that white light in there, meaning a little bit, at least a little bit of the page that you can still see. Like see, some of that kind of stands out a little bit too much, but so that's how your clouds can look with, the right types of applications of color on them and the retention of light, okay? All right, so going in here like that, and we'll put this little character and a little bit of this mist and fog like this. Okay. Don't Google tentacles. Janelle's back. Hello, Janelle. Will you post a supply list prior to Len? It's the supply list is on the workshop section there of the site. But one of the things I do is if someone has signed up for a class, I ask them what they have before the class begins. Like if we're going to be working with dye-based inks, I need to make sure that they have something other than like oxides and versifying clear inks or something like that. I need to know that. Or if they're working with a certain brand of ink, sometimes I'll know the characteristics of the inks, like if they're thicker or thinner than certain types of inks. So I just have a gist of what they're using. So I always find out something like that. Some people don't have Like some people, all they have is like pigment inks at this time, or something like that. So if it's something like that, then if it's a class that's based around like dye-based inks or something like that, then I'll give them a suggested listing of things to get, you know, just to get by or just to get started with it, and something that over the long run I think will give them the best value for their money, in terms of incorporating whatever they get for the class with other types of media. All right, so let's see here. Something like that. All right, I'm getting a little fingerprinty here. Let me wipe off my fingers right here. I have a lot of white paint on there now, so let's see. Or not white paint, but white pigment ink. All right, so yeah, all those little things are all kind of discussed before the class starts too. And then I always log on early just to make sure that everyone's all set to go and whatnot. What kind of papers do they have? That type of thing. All right, let's see here. I'm spending a little bit more time with this one because this is the one that I was really interested in doing a lot yesterday. Let's see. White 7mm, not 7mm, 0.7mm paint pen. All right. And lightning tends to be a really strong light, right? So I'm going to have it reflecting off of a lot of the different objects in the scene. It's not good for me to be putting my hand right down on top of that, so let's see. Let's use a piece of paper like this. Okay. See how it's all a little reflected light type of thing. It's really standing out too much in here because I took that area kind of dark. I probably should have left, some of those rocks a little bit lighter on the top surfaces of them, but not too big of a deal. Okay. So these trees are reflecting some of that light. Okay. And this area right in here is lighter, so I put a little bit more of this lighting, sparkly light, in that lit area, okay? All right, so get some of that. So see that? It's kind of crawling with light, but this is, this is how this looks. This is how it looks as if, I don't think people are going to be holding up your card, 4 inches from their face when they're looking at it. Unless they really want to inspect it, but then when they're seeing all of it like that, then you're giving them, like I always say, you're kind of rewarding them for further inspection by having them see the details. Okay, so the lighting on the clouds, okay. We have our soft lighting with the white pigment ink. And there's a few more dots in the lighter area like that, okay, because it barely shows up. But then when you move away, then you have your little highlights become a lot more sparse, so maybe it's like one dot like that, But when you get that like that, it really gives it a good kind of overall feel in terms of that lighting within the space. So we were talking about visual dialogue that's happening. In the other scene, it was between that sailboat, and this Kraken type of character coming up here. There's like a lot of visual tension right here, but in this scene right here, we create this visual dialogue between this kind of this conjuring type of character and the lightning bolts like that. All right. Let's see here. Let's make it a little bit more magical. Let's go like this. Okay. Oh, this is the octopus one right here. Okay, so let's do this. Let's put a few of these little magical little orbs. They don't look magical right now, I know. All right. And white pigment ink again. Okay, let's see. Where's my other pad? I have another. Oh, here we go. This is my Cotton Brilliance pad. Pad for impressions with that one. I use these so much. When I'm using a cotton ball in here, it tends to, you get a lot of fibers built up on there. So that if you go in here and stamp something in that, you know, with that same ink, a lot of times it'll leave kind of cotton fibers all over everything. So with these pads, I use them so often, and I'll use them for different purposes. So I just got a second one not too long ago. So I wouldn't have to clean this one off every time, you know, when I was going for an impression. Okay, so not too much ink on here again. Kind of go for a drier application here. And if you live in an area where you have fireflies, you can do this type of thing for fireflies. You can have this glowing type of thing for, you know, certain like snowfall and some things. It kind of gives it a little bit more of a magical look to it. Stars, you know, have a more kind of a glowing, twinkly star amongst your other stars, and it's really fun. It's just, and what this is doing is it's just kind of creating additional texture and a different type of light. So this is like a more crisp light around here, and this is more of like a soft glowing light like that. So you're playing around with texture, and I've mentioned this before in my videos, but there aren't too many times in stamping where you can have, where you look at a piece and there's an element of soft in it. Everything's like always crisp. Now there's too much ink there. But having just something soft like that, even if it was just one of these, you can have one star in your sky that's kind of glowing like that, and it will grab all of the attention, you know, just from that textural range. It's because there's so much different contrast between it like that. So anyways, you know, this little character, to me it looks like whatever they're doing something in there now, you know, from all of this around here. And plus it brings all this area to life. So if you're doing like little wild fireflies or something like that, you can put a little green dot, you know, in the middle there if it has that greenish tinge to it. But yeah. Yeah, let's see. Okay, and if you haven't watched these videos before and mention it, the pigment ink kind of starts to dry, and it dries a little bit more transparent, so sometimes you have to apply another coating of it if it isn't as light or glowing as you want it to be. Sometimes it's good because you apply it and then you let it kind of mellows out a little bit when it dries like that. So yeah. Okay, so anyways, there you have that. What title should this one be? I haven't used that little flying monkey yet. I don't know if there's really a place for it, you know, like something in here. I don't know, maybe not. Maybe it wouldn't show up as much. But the idea of this this video, again, it was just to do some really quick, I don't know how quick this one is. I really did a lot of different touches on this one right here. But I'm trying to think if there's anything else I'd want to do in this one. This one looked good, again, with a little shimmery texture in there, something like that. Yeah. Yeah, Joy tried the firefly technique. Isn't that fun? But it stands out a lot, doesn't it? You know, having those little glowing little things like that. So... yeah. Yeah, but there's different lessons on that workshop section right there. Like I said, those dates haven't been updated. I need to go in there and update some. I need to start scheduling that. There was. Hello, Jason. Good to see you. Out of the box for Linda. How is it out of the box for Linda? Linda, you've done everything. All it is just doing this one little character right here, but this is all, the color scheme's a little bit different here, you know, going into this pinkish red up here and a little bit of greenish pinkish down here. But I don't know. It's not out of the box for me. If you like these little funky little types of elements, go into the gallery section of the website and bring up Fusion. Now, Fusion sounds kind of weird, but it just means that I'm fusing Stampscape stamps with other companies' stuff. So I've used like the 100 press ones before a lot. I have this octopus on this galleon, and I just kind of stamped it right over the top of the galleon. But instead of stamping the galleon upright, I put it sideways and kind of going into the water, so it's like this gigantic kraken, whatever, what was that, 25 league, I forgot that, leagues under the sea. Weren't they attacked by I don't know, there was a lot of movies back then, like in the 50s, 60s, 70s, maybe not 70s, about ships being attacked by like giant squid. So I always love those types of movies, like that. Yeah. But I don't have a castle stamp. I almost used that castle stamp. I had another castle stamp from, I can't remember the name of it, but that's on the Fusion Gallery too. But actually, it's on one of my videos too. I think I used it in a foil, an iridescent foil scene. This one's almost done here. I already did grayscale on this one yesterday. If you just joined in, I just colored in, I'm coloring in a lot of these stamp sketches from yesterday. Oh, here's another one that we just finished today too. So coloring, it goes pretty fast, potentially. I mean, if I'm going to use 15 different colors, naturally it's going to take a lot longer to do, but this one's like 3 different versions of blue. This is gray and black right here. I can take this is grayscale right here, but like I said, if I wanted to, I can add some of that antique linen to it, some of this walnut stain. If you add these 2 tones to it, like this would have kind of more antique look to it, just from the nature of using these, weathered, warm tone types of colors in there. So you can take it whatever color scheme you want. If you do a grayscale type of coloring job like this, and you color it in afterwards, it tends to look more like, and done in the spirit of black and white photo tinting, when people used to colorize black and white photos like that. So, yeah. But yeah, Froggy Fresh, who are you asking about that? Yeah, the Stampscapes workshops are taught by me. Linda teaches it here, unless you're talking to Linda. Linda's a teacher of Stampscape stamps too. A lot of people in here, a lot of people in here, maybe watching, a lot of you could teach Stampscape stamps based on, that they do teach it, but they also, based on the samples I've seen from people. Let's do something right here. I don't know if this is probably a little bit too, let me see. Let's do something right here. Let's do some kind of, let's just do a really simple color scheme to this. Okay, a lot of people like, they don't want to see things that are so kind of crazy with, browns and pinks and things like that. They want to see a blue sky and just some green grass and brown cabin. Okay, that's just a really basic type of thing. And that's, that it gives it a real charming type of end look to it, okay? Let's just do something like that, and I'll show you how to do that in a very easy way and to give yourself a lot of variation to it, especially if you're new to this thing, you just want just a straight. I'll do that on a couple of these, okay? So I have, a couple of scenes like this right here. So when you look at something like this, if you're just thinking of blue sky and green grass and some blue water down here, okay? Brown cabin maybe, okay? So I'm not going to go, we'll just keep this fairly simple, but we also, we don't want an anemic color scheme. We want it, reasonably full. So I'll show you how to do that right here. Okay, so I'm just going on with a light blue ink right here. And again, you can do this, you know, with whatever color media you want. If this, I should have done some of these stamp sketches on a matte cardstock so that I can use some colored pencils on here instead. But I didn't have that, some of those cut down yesterday, so I just went with a primarily my glossy cardstock. In fact, I think I did one on the you know, the semi-gloss, which is real similar to a matte. Okay, so going in here with this right here, okay. Some of my inks are, you know, kind of smearing a little bit right here. I got a little smear off that tree right there. When I inked up for the stamp sketching video, I really inked up my black pad like almost to the extreme, just so that people can easily see what was happening. Okay, so this is just blue. And okay, so if you're doing this in markers or colored pencils or something like that, then just retain some areas of light, especially in your sky and water, okay? Those are, I would say, even more important than the grass right here. You can fill in your grass with just green, but you really, one of the things that's really fun to do, and it looks good in terms of having something happening within the scene, mainly your source of light and reflected light. Water is a really prime place to do that. Now I put some blue throughout this grass here because I'm just going to add in some green now. But again, let's just keep this one really minimal. Okay, so let's just use, I'm going to say, maybe before I go with the green, I'm going to use the same applicator, but maybe I should use my second blue in here now. Here, let me use a memento too. Just so you know that, you know, you can mix and match, or, you know, the type of ink and value of the ink, okay? In terms of light and dark, that's the thing that's, you know, the most important thing here. Okay, so here's a little bit of a brighter blue like this. I'm just taking it in here. And again, this is just without some kind of sky element, okay? But you're kind of creating your own sky when you do something like this, okay? I'm going down here in the water like this, okay? I'm going to go in for a real kind of pastel-ish look and soft application of it, okay? All right, now let's, okay, I'm going to switch up and let's use this other brand new applicator. Okay, all right, green, okay? Blot down your, in this case, it's just a paper towel like that, so you get that texture off of there, like so, all right? And apply accordingly right into here. And see, I'm not going like this, okay? I'm just taking it in. Now, if you're using colored pencils or something like that, just use a lighter kind of touch with it. And then you can go darker accordingly, okay? If you want to have a darker area, then you use, you know, kind of a stronger application of that type of media, like pastels or something like that. Okay, now I went a little bit heavy right there, but I'll use some markers or something like that on there. Let's go with some of the antique linen right here. Okay, and I'm coloring my cabin like so. All right. Now when I'm doing colored pencils, I color it the whole thing the same way, even if I think my roof is going to be lighter and my side of my cabins are going to be darker. I still use that lighter tone over the whole thing, and then you just go in with your darker tone in that area where you want those shadows. I don't know, not the greatest applicator for this kind of more detailed thing, but you can always kind of go like this, make it a tighter, more detailed applicator. Go in like this, right here. Okay. So this is, it's just kind of like an, you know, beginner's touch. Okay, so let's go in, you know how I said I go in like browns into my grassy areas like this. It just makes it a little bit more earthy looking. If you're in a drought-stricken area like California, it would be more brown than green probably anyway. If you're in a flooding area, send some of that water out our way. We need it. Okay. There's some of that brown in there. Let's go with a little bit more greenish tinge. Let's go with here's a cottage ivy like this, okay? And just adding a little bit more green into it, okay? Like I said, you can do the same type of touch right here, technique, working through lighter tones and working into the darker tones accordingly. All right. Like that. I mean, this could be, you can be done with this if you're, someone's just getting into something and they're learning kind of how to color. Here's the thing. People know how to color things a lot with outline designs where they're coloring in everything very uniformly in different shapes and things like that, right? They're applying solid areas of color, but to get those kind of different application ranges, from more solids to the lighter thing, it's just about this right here. This is what's not being done in that form of coloring, getting a little bit of variation like this. So when I'm depicting light, it's through the use of this. I'm just going darker out here, and I'm getting this lighter version in here. So that would be the same thing if I was doing a colored pencil, instead of just going with this whole, like, if this shape needs to be colored in, with a outline design like that, like that, I would just be going like, in something like this, you just kind of work it like this. And then you get the darker area out here, so you get this full value range like that, okay? From darker to lighter. So it's just using kind of different pressures like that. But this is doing it with dry medium, and this is doing it with wet medium. Let me just see if this works on here. I can't even tell. It's applying a little bit. I guess you can use, you can use colored pencils to some extent on glossy cardstock. It's not sticking great, and it's definitely not the most conducive medium for, surface for this medium. Just because it's so slick, it doesn't have anything to grab onto. Yeah, you can get a little bit of an application like that. The markers and wet media, are much more, geared towards a slick surface like this, okay? Slick and absorbent, all right? Okay, so let's see here. Okay, so let me show you this too. Okay, so this is what a lot of people would do, let's say with their first, I don't know, scenes or something like that. But if you want to make this a little bit more, I'll take this from kind of beginner to, I don't know, I wouldn't call it advanced, but just a little bit more, I don't know, sophisticated in terms of the applications of media, or sophisticated in terms of look, but definitely not in terms of, difficulty and technique right here. So let me see right here. So here's a little bit of pink in here, and let's add in a little bit of these tones in here. So see, I'm still doing this type of thing like this. So I'm going for this range like that, okay? All right, so we'll go with something like that. Don't worry about that up there. It's a little streaky, but I'll show you what I'm going to do with that here shortly. But see this right here? So now, when I do something like that, I'm creating a little bit more of a connection between sky and reflected light, because you're putting those same colors down in that area. Let's put a little bit of that in the grass. And I know you're saying, what? It's just kind of putting that same type of, I don't know, sunrise lighting on there or something like that, right? Okay. And let's go into maybe a little bit more of a shading in here at the base of some of this. I'll still keep this really simple though, okay? Okay, so this is just a really, I don't know, like a, what is this? Brownish gray. I always go to this brownish gray one right here. So that right there, that creates a little bit more of a, I don't know, kind of a richer tone in that grassy area. It kind of creates a little bit more shadows. And then white pigment ink, okay? So we'll just keep it at that, but yeah, I'll go with a Hero Hues one right here. A lot of you have, you know, white pigment ink from, I don't know, Hero Arts or whatever, Color Box. This one's an oil-based one. I've been typically using my Brilliance pad, which is a water-based one and dries a little bit faster. But when you're doing like really thin coats on even glossy cardstock like this, these other types of inks just work fine for that. Spray seal it though when you're done though. Okay. So anyways, going up here into my light area like that. But look at this right here. Look at that change right there. Just that little bit like that. Doesn't it look like that lighting is coming in from that area? And I'll put it on this side right here, okay? So now you have this kind of flood of light kind of pouring in here like this. Let me kind of mellow out some of my streaks up here that were a little bit harsh, okay? Maybe some of this light is kind of coming over the top of this cabin like this. It kind of puts it in that setting a little bit more. With the light like that, but doesn't that look a lot different like that? Okay. I'm impatient when it comes to coloring too, Kay, but that's why I take it slower. If you're too impatient when it comes to that, and if you do certain things that you don't like, it takes, I don't know, like 10 times the amount of time to remedy that than it does to just kind of do it a little bit more incrementally from the get-go. It'd be like if someone was doing oil painting or something like that, you know, they typically work, you know, besides Van Gogh, they work from thin to thick, okay? And, you know, everything gets kind of just built up. So it'd be like missing all of the base layer things and just kind of skipping right to the end, which could look kind of interesting, but that's a different technique right there. You know, it's not as controlled, it's more spontaneous. So not to say that you can't do that, but it would be like the difference between what I'm doing is like, I don't know, it's like, you know, gradual glazing as opposed to something like watercolor painting where it's much more spontaneous and definitive, you know. I love watercolor painting and things like that. You know, a lot of rubber stampers do that, but when you lay down like a watercolor, it's like, it is what you know, what you get is much more instantaneous and definitive. You can't really, you know, ideally manipulate it after you've applied it too much. Otherwise, it tends to look overworked. Or the extreme kind of difference would be like brush calligraphy, you know. Beautiful in itself, you know, to do it very quickly and spontaneously, but a lot less controlled like that. Okay, so anyways, here's the white pigment ink in there, you know. And I think that makes a pretty full, I don't know, textural and lighting statement in there, okay? And it's not too much farther away from just that, you know, the real basic coloring that you can do that's in a very, very minimalistic and simple way. But from that to this, I mean, it looks really different to me from a textural standpoint. Lighting, depth, etc. in there. All right, let's see. Not this one here. How about some pink flowers in here? This is like the opposite from I don't know, but it's the opposite, but quite a difference in this, but it's the same technique. You know, it's just, you know, going into some different, you know, ranges of your darker tones. Okay, let's see. Tammy, you can be as heavy-handed as you want, though. Just use less ink on your applicators. And you can be as heavy-handed as you want because it's not going to be applying very much. You know, it's going to be kind of applying more of like a dry brush. This one's a little bit too dark. It's going to be applying a very dry brush kind of application of things. Now, if you really want to see, that's what a lot of people do, because most people are applying, when they're coloring, they're applying color with whatever color it is, okay? They want to get that color out of their application and instantaneous, okay? But if you're building up color like this, you know, from, you know, a really light version of that green to a darker one, That's what people aren't used to doing. They're not used to seeing some kind of 5% version of a color coming off of their applicator like that. Okay, so let's see right here. All right, so adding a little bit of this pinkish wildflower touch down in here. I cluster my little flowers like this. And it reiterates the colors of the sky in there like that too. So let's add a little bit of pink, a little bit of white. Does everyone like wildflowers? You can put your favorite color of wildflower down here too. It doesn't matter if, or you can put your favorite color. It doesn't have to be a real color of any wildflower, but you know, if you want to have metallic wildflowers, you can. But anyways, here's a little bit of a textural thing in here. Do you see what's going on in here? Here's these little textures in here. They can represent, you know, reflected light too. Like this one right here. Or they can represent little wildflowers in here. In other cases, like in a snowy scene, it could represent snowfall or something of that sort. But what you get is that the reason why this looks, you know, from just, I mean, this is, again, this is a really simple application of these techniques right here, but what you get in here is these contrasting things in here. So I'm working with contrasting colors a lot of times. So you use your lighter tones and you work into your darker tones for shadows. Okay, so you have a lighter roof and darker side like that. Okay, but then here's this really soft application of lighting in here. So it's just white pigment ink sponged into these areas like that. But that gets a little bit, it gets a little bit too soft sometimes. So you add in your little crisp little elements like that. So it balances everything out. It's like cooking or something like that. You know, if things are getting a little bit too spicy, then you balance it off. You throw in something sweet into the mix or something like that. You know, you don't want everything, all your food spicy. So often there's like a drink that's, you know, cool or something like that. You know, you see Indian food and there's lassies, you know, or something like that. You know, food is like the ultimate, you know, balance of all these different contrasts, except it's like taste, you know, maybe it's visual too, you know, for the eyes and such. But, you know, with anything in life, right, you know, listening to music or anything like that from a auditory standpoint, it's good to, you know, if you make a mixtape, you know, it's not all super, you know, the same beat, you know, you kind of mix it up a little bit. So from a visual standpoint, think about your softs and your sharps, you know. Here's soft. That's why I use cotton balls. You know, some people say, well, why do you use the cotton balls, you know, to apply certain things? Well, if I'm going for like a really soft application of media, I can't think of anything softer than a cotton ball to do that with. And here's your sharp medium, you know, like your paint pens or something like that, you know, to add that in. I guess that's all my sharp things are paint pen applications. And then you have your lights and darks in there. Those are contrasts too, right? And then this is one of the things why I like adding a lot of, I've been using a lot more of my, not on these scenes today, but I use a lot of the semi-gloss papers because it can really take those colored pencils. So it gives me the option of going into the colored pencils when I'm using a surface that's, you know, not so shiny and slick like that, you know. You can use kind of more of the satiny one right here. And this will take your colored pencils, but it also takes all the other medium on there as well. So let's see. What is the best blue for sky blue? I don't know. Everyone, what do you guys think? Summer Sky by Memento is really good. But again, you know, for my blues, I like to have a range of them. So with the a lot of what it is what it's available though, you know, it's not even what would be best, but you know, in Marvy, it was the number 60 and number 10 used in conjunction with one another. The Bahama blue is with Memento. I also have the broken. Help me with this one. Is it broken glass with the distress ink? Oh, I have it right here. Tumbled glass. This is a really nice blue right here. But I don't know. It depends on what kind of blue you have. There's so many different blues for skies. But if you're just thinking about one blue and something that, you can use in just about any type of blue scenario, be it a darker blue or a lighter blue as a base coat for it, I don't know. I would go for I would typically recommend any type of blue that's, like I would say a 10% or lighter blue. So it's things like these, these different values in here. And this is, I'm not recommending brands or anything like that. There's so many different brands out there, with a nice blue out there. Some of them are a little bit duller and some of them are a little bit brighter than others too. These are all kind of dull blues right here. But what I mean by dull, it means more pastel. So anything like that. Uh-oh, PJB Stamper gets irritated with the sinuses, the hay fevers, yeah. So you're looking at these from the comfort of your car. Yeah. Or go out and see desert wildflowers. It won't be so kind of intense with the pollen and stuff like that. So come on out to Joshua Tree or Death Valley had a super bloom not too long. Yeah, well, actually, it's been a long time now. It's probably been 10 years. Anza Borrego is really big on desert blooms. I like the cacti blooms more than the annuals, though. I think the cacti blooms are so intense. Yeah. Color is 575 through 580. I don't know what that is referring to. I'll have to check that one out. Nanometer range, huh? Would you please show the first couple of the cards again? Sure. All right, so here's the coloring of the lightning strike one right here. Kind of a mystical type of situation. A strong, hopefully strong visual dialogue between the characters of this one are this little character here and the lightning. I think the lightning is, a significant character or player in that composition right there. This one was done yesterday. I just colored it yesterday. But this one right here, this one was colored yesterday, but I just added that octopus and the sailboat in there to create, some visual tension between the two of them, right? I don't know. Maybe that octopus is someone on there's friend, like like Flipper, except instead of a dolphin, it's the Kraken or something like that. He's bringing up some a chest of treasure to that that person. Who knows? Okay, so just a simple blue toned color scheme in here. What I would do on this one though to finish it off is I would give it that bolt of kind of a softer light in here using the white pigment ink over this one in here, and this one coming in from up there, just to have that textural variation in there. All right, here's another scene right here. It's a moonlit scene, but you wouldn't see greens in here and browns like that. But like I said, in this world of our own making, we don't have to stick to what would happen in the real world with real lighting like that. You wouldn't see all these different colors in here and those different wavelengths of colors. You would just see it, it'd be like grayscale or something like that in here. But, just to show that, you can do whatever you want. But here's what's the important thing about this one. It's about lighting. So I'm going from light. There's light on the rooftops. It's going dark, light, a little bit darker in here, light. I guess that's light right there. I have a little bit of a strip of tone right here, but it's this oscillation of lighting going up there from top to bottom, especially in this elongated format like this. If I didn't have any lighting in here, there would be more attention brought to this area right down here, and I think that would look okay, but I think it's good to have a little bit of an area that's a little bit lighter in each object. So there's dark and light up in the sky, it's dark and light on this mill, there's dark and light in the grass, dark and light in the water. But when I say dark, it doesn't have to be like super dark, it's just lighter in some area, right? It's a little bit dark and light on that rock and dark and light in here. So you're just playing around with values in each space, but it all kind of becomes really related like that. And then this one right here, I didn't do anything. This one was already, somewhat finished off yesterday. I would add more kind of white pigment ink into this one or something like that. But anyway, yeah. Let's see. Okay, so Janelle asked, do you have a Stampscape stamps that can be used to make the Aurora Borealis? There's the Aurora Borealis rays, and there's the Aurora Borealis curtains stamp from Stampscapes. So those ones are, there's Northern Light stamps. If you look on the website under the categories, you can look up skies like that, or you can just do your own Aurora Borealis too. I use my inking techniques to enhance those two images though. And one of the really fun things to do was the foils. So if you look up on this Stampscapes YouTube channel, if you type in Stampscapes and Northern Lights into the search window, you'll probably come up with, it doesn't always find them, but I've probably done about 10 different Northern Lights videos on here at this point in time. One of my favorite ones is using the Aurora Borealis curtains and the rainbow holographic foil to do an Aurora Borealis scene. I'm trying to remember if it was in a mirror card situation or if it was just a straight, I think it was a slimline card, speaking of that. So what is the size tip of the white pen? The size tip of the white pen is a 0.7 millimeter, usually referred to as the extra fine tip paint pen. So there's not too many different sizes out there. There's the 0.7 millimeter ones, extra fine tip, okay? And those are the ones that I use a lot, and I never thought I would use, so many of the 3 millimeter ones, but I love these things for big, bold applications. It kind of takes on the spirit of being almost like a scene can look, especially in these wildflower flower types of scenarios. You can really do almost like a impressionistic type of look with those pens. And then there's all kinds of other pens out there, but those are the two most common ones that I've seen that are like that are available out there. 3 millimeter and 0.7. The 3 millimeter ones, surprisingly, are called fine tip. I don't know, they should be called bold tip to me. Morphophallus. I can't even pronounce that, Froggy First. That word's too big for me. Oh, it's a plant. Oh, is that cacti that, I don't know, that blooms like, I don't know, like every 10 years, I don't know, like not frequent at all, right? That's interesting. Yeah, I heard it smells like a corpse or something like that, if that's the one that I'm thinking of. Jeannie, yeah, this video, you mean, Jeannie? Yeah, this video, well, all these videos are available for replay. But these videos all put you to sleep, Jeannie. Don't want, beware, GS, hazardous to your consciousness, Brush markers are terrific. I reordered after many years. Yes, Marvy brush markers are fantastic. I might need to order some myself after like 30 years. You know, some of mine are getting pretty rough in the tip. But yeah, they're the best in terms of coloring bolder shapes, for sure. Thank you, Cheryl. Glad you like them. The one with the water wheel. I like that one too. I like the format of that one. I want to do, as I was mentioning, the next thing I do, maybe not the next thing I do, but one of the next few scenes that I do is going to be with the watermill. And I want to make all these trees around it, these deciduous trees, in a fall color scheme. And specifically, going back to the pens that we were just talking about, I want to use my bold 3mm paint pens with just an explosion of fall tones around it. I don't know, maybe I should do spring tones, but I've done like cherry blossom types of looks before. And I want to use that watermill in a more of a fall type of setting, I think. Where you can have like colored little dots, in the water, like it's, like the leaves are falling and they're on rocks, like on this boulders with lichen around it. What you do is you put some of those paint pen dots on there, making it look like the leaves have fallen in there. And in the water too, those are things that are really fun. It looks kind of crazy, but I just mellow it out with the white pigment ink again. The white pigment ink solves all of my application problems by just covering them up. Yeah. Let's see. It's the smaller version of the corpse lily. Okay. That's interesting about the smell. I don't know. You think, why in nature do they have that smell? Maybe it attracts the probably the flies, right? In order to pollinate it or something like that. Yeah, Donna. Someone contacted me and it was years ago, and they told me that they don't have to take their sleeping meds anymore. They just throw on one of my videos and just put it on play, and it just puts them out. So yeah, a very organic or natural. It's a natural sleep inducer. These videos are. Yeah, I can't wait to use it in fall colors. I think I would have done that before, but I don't think I have, so yeah. And I want to do it, I think this would be really good in this type of slimline format right here, because I really want to go, my God, do I want to do it? I don't know. Now I'm wondering if I should do like a full page scene, which only takes it at like this big, but if I have like a lake or something, a little, feeding pond, I want to have a waterfall too. That's maybe at the base of this, like this is getting fed down into the waterfall, down in this area or something like that. And we can have a whole surrounding area in like a fall foliage type of thing. So after I did those latest ones, after you work on that 11 by 17, it's like, oh, the full page thing at 8.5 by 11. Oh, how small that is, So everything's kind of by contrast, isn't it? If you take a 1,000-mile drive, then kind of driving 100 miles seems like, oh yeah, it's just that's a quick day trip or something like that. Yeah. But yeah, are the island scenes the more tropical ones, huh, Janelle? I can't remember when the last ones I did like that were. Did I use a island scene recently? I might have used Palm Island fairly recently. I'm trying to think of, did I do that with the Seaside Cove or something like that? Or am I just kind of thinking of that I did? It's one of those things where I can't remember if I did something or if I thought I did it, Don't let the pharmaceutical companies know about this channel. It would compete with them too much, in terms of good sleep inducers. Yeah, I don't know. I'll think about that one though. Yeah, Joy. I'll think about the full page scene. I don't know if I've done a full page scene with that watermill. One of the things about that watermill too is you get into that watermill and you can have like other structures around in that area too, you know, and that's what it would open up the possibilities for. Yeah, thanks so much, PGB Stamper. Good to see you. And I think I'll be signing off here too, but you know, these scenes, I don't know, they came together fairly fast. You can get your coloring done pretty fast. And like I said, you know, in something like this, colored pencils, chalks, pastels, if you're using a matte paper, and you can go very minimal. A lot of people like, you know, that kind of more pastel, kind of softer look, you know. In my pieces, I tend to go with a little bit more contrast. I like to have a really wide range, but I do like the kind of more pastel looks on some of my scenes too. And I know a lot of people do, but what you do is, you know, just bring a little bit of tone up there into your sky, you know, and if you want to make it look a little bit more complex, then add a little bit of additional hue, okay, because that really bends and expands that range of colors. If you look on a color wheel, instead of blues, which are right here, you bend it and you push it out into a different color scheme like that. And then where you overlap something like pink, there's a little bit of a violet up there as well. So, you know, just by using things like that, just by adding one color, you can expand. See all that purple up there through the blue, but then you also have the blue up there. And if you want to go for a textural range, a little bit of white pigment ink, and you don't have to use as much as I do to make it look really full like that. I went through all my stamps and I have your palm tree stalks, but don't remember why. Use those with the palm fronds, the palm, especially number 2 and 3, that are the left and right ones. But yeah, and I have the palms separate so you can make your palm trees as dense or as sparse as you want. Like say you had some stars going on in the background, but you just want a couple fronds in there, you can do something like that. Yeah. Hug my wife for sharing my time. I guess it's at 7:30. This is about the time we eat, so I gotta think about eating now and dinner. Okay, let's see. On your website, if you still have it, you had people share their art. Yeah, that's the gallery section. Are you in there? You have mine on there. Oh, okay. One with the island scene, one with the forest scene. Fantastic. Awesome. Thanks so much for submitting that, Janelle. Everyone go and check out Janelle Lynn's scene in the Stampscapes website. Yeah. Always appreciated all those submissions to the Stampscapes website. It was always fun to do. And that was back in a time especially when, you know, a lot of these online types of galleries and things weren't available out there. And yeah, it was a really great source of inspiration for everyone, though. So thanks for the submissions on that, Janelle. Let's see. Try to think of some alliterative names, but I didn't come up with any. Pastel pleasures. Watery watermill. I'm just joking here, folks. They don't always have to be alliterations. Mr. Monkey has showed up for everyone, for every video as well. Yeah, thanks, Annie. Eat a chicken. How do I submit to the Stampscapes website? I don't really put things on the Stampscapes website so much anywhere, but when people just like email me a scene, a lot of times I'll ask them, hey, can I share this with others? You know, especially if they don't have it posted on Facebook or something like that. And I'll put it on the Flickr, Stampscapes Flickr gallery, flickr.com. Or you can just open your own flickr.com account, and you can upload, there's a certain amount of files that you can upload for free, you know, before you start getting into that pro account kind of area, and you can really do a lot of it. But I would join the Stampscapes group, okay, on Flickr, and then you can post on your own, you know, it could be a Froggy Fresh account or something like that. You don't have to, you know, do all cards. You can post whatever photographs you want, and then you can share it to the the Stampscapes group. So the Stampscapes group is the peer group. I just tell people that, not a lot of people are doing it, like if any are doing it, but they can post on that group. They don't have to wait for me. I'm hoping people do it, post it themselves on there. And then sometimes what I do from that Flickr gallery is it's just really convenient if, to share it over to Pinterest or Facebook or something like that, unless you don't want to be seen or something like that, so. But yeah, the Stampscapes site, I don't really do. I used to, or if people had like their own Flickr gallery or something like that, you can create a Stampscapes album. And what I used to do in that gallery section of the Stampscapes site was I would link to someone's Flickr page or whatever, picture trail. Picture trail's like long gone now or something like that. But we would do that as well. But like I said, most people, it's all about social networking, so people aren't really checking out, I don't think, as many scenes like in the gallery. So a lot of people don't even know about Stampscapes gallery, and there's probably, I'm guessing there's 10,000 samples up in that gallery section, if not more. It might be closer to 15,000 scenes are up there. So there's a lot of people up there, and there's hundreds of people. Some people have one card, I don't know, Janelle, you might have two or something like that. Oh, Janelle Woodbury. Okay. I didn't know. Okay, I know you, Janelle. I didn't know Janelle Lynn. Okay, didn't ring a bell immediately. But yeah, check out Janelle Woodbury's. That's probably under that. Let me see real quick here. Let's see here. I even lost track of how many people were up here. I think I counted at one time. There's a lot of people. Yep. Janelle Woodbury. Okay. Oh, yeah. Excellent. I remember your tropical one with that little insert there. Let's see. I don't know if you use your Yahoo account anymore, Janelle, but I have that email link to you from there. But yeah. So Janelle Woodbury is up there. Yeah, I always like that Aloha one that you did. 2002, that's 20 years ago. My gosh, how did 2002 become 20 years ago? 2 decades. But good stuff. Yeah. Very nice, very nice. Flickr, I don't know if Flickr has an app, like for a phone. It's a website. I don't know if they have an app. They might. I've never used it if it is an app. Yeah, I didn't know Janelle Lynn, so yeah, I didn't know Lynn. I don't know, Janelle, do you have your pieces up on Facebook? In like a separate album? Maybe do a link to the your Facebook album too. All right, folks. Yeah, 20 years. It's going back a ways. Especially in stamping, right? But that was an early 2002. That's when the stamping industry, like I said, was really hopping in terms of probably the number of stores. I don't know what the peak had to be, but it had to be around that 2005 area or so, like something like that. I'm talking about rubber stamp stores. Then we had like a huge amount of scrapbooking, and then scrapbooking and rubber stamping stores. So yeah, but yeah, I don't know. I miss those stores out there. All right. So everyone, thanks so much for joining in. Joining I can't spell here. Joining in on the... All right. Thanks so much. Crazy Cat started stamping in 2000. That was the right time to join to start stamping in terms of the number of stores, I think, and the number of accessories that were available at that time. Oh, Candy just started 1 year ago. I started stamp. It's Candy's Stampscaping anniversary. Happy anniversary to Candy. Oh, Flickr has an Android app. Okay. Good night, Annie. Good night, Kay. Good night to everyone else who has joined in. If you're in a other area of the world, whatever time it is for you, good morning, good evening, good afternoon, etc. Good night, Crazy Cat. All right, we'll see you on. We'll see you all on. Let's see. It's 7:31 right now. We'll see everyone else again in 5 hours. No, I'm just joking. I did do a live stream before at midnight, and I was shocked at the number of people that were on. But some of them were in the U.S. in my same time zone, but some of them were on Eastern Standard Time. So, you know, it started off like at 3 a.m. for them, you know. So I'm always kind of shocked to see that, unless there are people that are getting up at that time. So, but yeah, fun stuff. All right, everyone, good night. Or what does that say here? Janelle started stamping in 1999. Kay, that's I should be much better stamper after 20 years. Take a, you know, just watch some of these videos. We'll expedite that learning curve. You'll be doing anything that you want, you know, in no time. All right, good night, everyone.